Hey everybody, this is Reaper, and today I figured we'd be doing a video about the dragons on Puzzles and Dragons. Now these aren't all the dragons, obviously, because that video would be absolutely massive if I was to talk about every single dragon. These are about the PAL point dragons, the ones that you can buy if you have the PAL points, or monster points. So I figured it'd be kind of fun to talk about these, because a lot of people really seem to like them, and for good reason. They're all really solid monsters, but I just felt, you know, maybe I should make a video just saying what's the pros, what's the cons to these. So I'm just gonna go through all of these and tell you what I think about them and what's their strengths and what their weaknesses. So the first one is the Destroyer God Shiva Dragon. This one, as you can see, I think all of them cost 99. I could be wrong though, I'll be checking. This one has high hit points, pretty high attack, and decent RCV for it not being like a healer or anything. So overall it's pretty good. And then its active skill is reduce cooldown of other skills by 2 turns, and this can have a 12 turn cooldown at lowest, which it's pretty nice because you can just keep using this to spam your other skills that the rest of your monsters on your team would have. This one is an okay sub, but I would say it's a better leader by a little bit. It's actually really solid all the way around, but mainly because its leader skill is fire attributes get 2 times attack, and then god types get 2.5 times attack and 1.5 times RCV. So if your team consists of nothing but fire gods, then you just get an unconditional 36 times, assuming you have, you know, your Shiva Dragon and somebody else has a Shiva Dragon that you're using as your other leader, and then all the rest of your team is just fire gods. You get an unconditional 36 times attack, so you have to do absolutely nothing and you get that much bonus attack just tacked on. This is why Shiva Dragon, I would say, is a little bit better of a leader than it is a sub, because as a sub, its active skill is pretty useful and it does have high stats, as well as you can see its awokens are pretty solid, having 2 rows, 2 prongs, 2 skill boosts, a skill bind resist, and a time extender. So they're all pretty solid. That being said though, it's just a very easy monster to farm with. If you just want to farm dungeons with it, this one is by far one of the easiest monsters in the whole game to farm dungeons with, because you really don't even have to look at your board all that much. You can just move orbs around. If you get, you know, fire ones, there you go, there's all your damage. Anything else, you still get damage so long as they have the secondary attribute to it. But, you know, if you get a row or a prong of fires, you'll do a ton of damage. It's just an overall really solid, easy to use lead. Again, as a sub, it does work. It works decently well on a fire team or a god team or a fire god team or a fire dragon team, something like that. I mean, even with it being secondary dark, it could be. So the material that you use for Shiva Dragon is not particularly the hardest to get. You could probably just use Shiva Dragon itself to get the material, the first form of it, and then just evolve it into the next form, which is really nice. So overall, Shiva Dragon's a pretty solid one. Okay, the second dragon we have on the list is Sea Deity Neptune Dragon. This one boasts, again, really high hit points at 4,500. 1,450 attack is actually pretty good. 200 RCV, it's okay. Again, cost 99, so it does take up quite a bit. Its active is inflict poison damage equal to 100 times attack to all enemies every turn, ignore enemies' element and defense, and reduce other reduce cooldown of other skills by 2 turns. And this can drop down to 16 turns at max level. And this is probably its biggest pro, is that you can poison just anything and deal tons of poison damage to it over time. So that's really good against things that have a massive amount of defense but don't really have necessarily the highest amount of hit points. So if something only has, say, 5,000 hit points or something like that, but then it has, you know, 1 million defense or 10 million defense or something like that, and you just can't get through it, you can just use his active, you know, wear him down really quick and kill him without too much trouble. Its leader skill is 3 times attack when simultaneously clearing 5 connected water or dark orbs. Attack times 0.5 for each additional orb, up to 6 times attack at 11 connected orbs. God types get 1.5 times RCV. Its leader skill really isn't the best. I would actually probably say that this one has like the worst leader skill, but it is a very solid sub, especially for a water team, because as you can see, it has 4 water rows, which is a lot of damage, as well as its poison gives it tons of utility. And the reducing cooldowns is also really nice. As a leader, if you can continually connect 11 or more water orbs together, and if you have 2 of them, it's 36 times damage. It's pretty much the same as the Shiva Dragon, just you have to do a lot more to get it. So that's why I don't think it's that great of a leader, just compared to the other dragons, but I think it's a pretty solid sub. The stuff it does take is not the hardest stuff to get, but it can still be somewhat challenging. Alright, the third dragon we have on the list is the Light Lance God Odin Dragon. Odin Dragon is God Dragon, like I think almost all of these are, or something like that. Got 4,000 hit points, which is a lot of hit points. Got 1,100 attack, which is okay. And then 900 RCV, which is a lot of RCV. So it can definitely do some healing. Its active skill is recover 50% of maximum health, full bind recovery, and reduce cooldowns of other skills by 1 turn. And it's at 9 turn cooldown at its lowest. Its active ability is really nice, because even if you're in a fight that's not particularly knocking you down quick, or maybe they use gravity, you can still use it and heal yourself back up. And the full bind recovery is very nice, just completely getting rid of all of those binds. That's a real big plus, as well as it's on a fairly low cooldown at 9 turns. Its leader skill is God type cards get 1.5 times attack, 1.5 times RCV, and 80% damage reduction when HP is at full. Now this is the part that people usually like it for, is that you get 80% damage reduction. If you have 2 of them, it's not 80%, so it's 160%. It's 80% of 80% added to that, so I think it's like 92% or something like that. It's still quite a lot. As well as the bind recovery makes it really nice, and as you can see from all of its awokens, it can't be bound, it has a skill boost, and then it has 6 auto recovers. Each of these heal you for 500 hit points, so every turn, if you just have one of these on your team, it's going to be healing you for 3,000 hit points max, which is really nice. If you have 2 of them, it's going to be 6,000. Overall, Odin Dragon is actually a really nice one. However, it does lack the damage of the other dragons. As a leader, it just is lacking in damage. Because if you have 2 of them, it's not a lot of damage. It is a decent amount of RCV, just because everything on your team will likely have high RCV, or at least he will, and that's pretty much everything that you need to heal you to full. And the bind recovery and the auto heals are just really, really nice. So I think he's a better sub by a little bit than a lead. That being said, he's still a great lead because of all the damage reduction, so you can do so many dungeons just because you can't die, pretty much. It might take a while, but you're gonna do it. The stuff that he takes to evolve, again, not particularly the hardest stuff to get, but can be a challenge. Alright, up next we got the Ragnarok Dragon, or Anti-Machine God Ragnarok Dragon, which has 5,000 hit points, which is a ton, 1,600 attack, which is a lot, not as much as the Shiva Dragon, but still a lot, and then 0 RCV, which is nothing. His active skill is pretty much a full board conversion of everything. It's a full board reset, really, is what it is. And it's changed all orbs to, well, all the main orbs, as you can see, and then reduce cooldown by other skills by 1. And it has a 9-turn cooldown at max. His skill is just really good, because even for teams that require something specific, you can still completely reset the board and then use your other skills on your team to change them into something else if that's required. He can also just get rid of jammers, poison. I guess he can't get rid of locked orbs, but... And then his leader skill is 4 times attack when attacking with the following 4... Or 4 of the following types: fire, water, wood, light, and dark. 1.5 or half times for each additional orb type, up to 4.5 times for all 5 matches. Machine types gain 1.5 times attack and 1.5 times RCV. So if you have a team of nothing but machines and you manage to hit all the orb types, not counting hearts, then he will be 36 times damage, I believe, again, which is pretty good still. Again, it is a lot harder to do than Shiva Dragon is, though. But as you can see by just his Awokens, he's got a lot of Awokens. He's got, well, he can't be bound with his first 2, a skill boost, 2 time extenders, a skill resist, a 2-prong, a god killer, and a dragon killer. So he is very strong. Overall, though, I would say that he is definitely a better sub than he is a leader. As a leader, he's still pretty solid. The problem being is that there's not a ton of machines that you can get, provided that you don't get good rolls from the rare egg machine, but he works very well as a sub because he has such high, pretty much everything but RCV. He has a complete board reset, and he just has like all those great Awokens. He's particularly good on a rainbow team where you just want every kind of orb, but there are better rainbow leads than him. So that's why I'd say he's just a better sub than he is a leader. Okay, the next dragon on the list is God of the Night, Tsukuyomi Dragon. I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. As you can see, it's got 3,800 hit points, which is a good amount. 1,800 attack, which is a lot of attack, and 240 RCV, which is decent RCV. Its active skill is randomly spawn 4 dark and hard orbs from non-dark and hard orbs. Reduce other cooldowns by 1 turn. Its leader skill is match attribute 4 times attack when matching exactly 5 connected orbs with at least 1 enhanced orb. God types gain 1.5 times attack and 1.5 times RCV. Now, just looking at these skills and, you know, seeing that, like, yes, it's got good Awokens. It has a bind recovery, 2 time extenders, 2 skill boost, and it can't be bound as well as a skill resist. Those seem pretty good, but just reading the skills and the leader skill, it kind of seems somewhat lackluster. That being said, it is definitely not. This one is probably the best overall dragon at the moment because it works very well as both a lead and a sub. If you have a god team made primarily of one type, for example, if you have nothing but dark gods, it's going to be pretty good. It just has quite a lot of potential with quite a lot of good teams is the thing that makes it so good, as well as it just has really high stats and just overall good skills. So I'm going to say that this one is probably the best overall dragon at the moment. However, that's going to change from person to person, obviously. If you have like a fire team, Shiva Dragon's going to be your alternative. If you have a rainbow team, like Ragnarok Dragon's probably going to be your alternative. If you need more healing or something, Odin Dragon. If you have a water team, probably Neptune Dragon. It's just going to depend. But I think overall, counting all teams and everything like that, I would say that this one probably has the highest potential out of them. The stuff that it uses can be kind of a pain, not particularly Uzanami, but Zayrog can be. So another thing I forgot to mention was on Ragnarok Dragon, the stuff that he takes. Pretty much it's Zayrog Infinite. It's going to be a pain in the butt to get, but the other 2 aren't that difficult. All right, and then the last, well, second to last, there's one more honorable mention on this list because it hasn't technically came out yet. This one is going to be Sungod Dragon. It has 4,700 hit points, which is a lot of hit points, 1,500 attack, which is a good amount of attack, and 155 RCV. So it's a little bit on the low side compared to the other dragons. Not compared to Ragnarok, but compared to the others. Its active skill is increased time limit of orb movement by 5 seconds for 1 turn. Reduce the cooldown of other skills by 2 turns. This is actually really good because 5 seconds is quite a long time. It might not sound like it, but I believe that when the timer starts ticking, originally if you have no time extenders or anything like that, then I believe that you have 5 seconds or maybe it's 7.5 seconds, something like that. So adding another 5 seconds to that is quite substantial. Mostly this thing's used as a leader though, because it's 3 times attack when attacking with 5 of the following orbs: fire, water, wood, light, dark, and heart. 5 times attack for each additional orb type, up to 8 times attack for all 6. God types get 1.5 times attack and 1.5 times RCV. So in other words, if you have 2 raw dragons and you manage to match every single type of orb, which isn't too difficult with this team because it usually has a lot of time extenders, and your whole team is made of gods as well. then you'll be doing 144 times damage on everything on your team, which is a lot of damage, and you can see why this guy is probably picked as much as he is and why you see him so much in the game. Awoken skills are all really good too. He's got 2 prongs, 2 skill boosts, can't be bound, 2 time extenders. All those are really nice. As a sub though, he's really not that great of a sub compared to the rest of the gods here, or the rest of the dragons here. They just seem to edge him out in something or another, and the things that you use to evolve him aren't particularly the hardest to get either. However, we're going to see his final form here, which hasn't been released. I don't think it's even been released in Japan yet. I think it's just been announced. But this is his ultimate form, and it still looks as odd as ever. He has 5,600 hit points, which is a ton of hit points, 1880 attack, which is a ton of attack, 340 RCV, which is okay. Not as impressive as other stats. He costs 150 to put on your team, so he's going to cost a lot. His active skill has not changed. It's still the time extension, which is really nice. His leader skill has changed slightly. He gets 2 times attack when attacking with 4 of the following orbs. So instead of having to hit 5 orbs to do your 3 times, you just hit 4 orbs to do your 2 times. However, you'll do the same amount of damage if you hit all 6. As it's pretty much saying, as well as you get bonus health now too, instead of just attack and RCV, which makes it even stronger. He's still got all the same Awokens, but he's got a bonus one, which is a skill bind resist, which is nice. Overall, I think he's very, very strong, but getting him is going to be a big problem, really, for a lot of people, because all of his evolution material is pretty ridiculous. Well, at least most of it is. You need Almighty God Zeus Dragon, which is, you have to do an Annihilation dungeon to get, and Annihilation is just a nightmare to do. Machine Zeus, which again is another nightmare dungeon, as well as I think both these guys take a good amount of stuff to evolve, so it's going to take even longer. And then you need Zeus, or Awoken Zeus Olympios, and Awoken Zeus Stratos, which you need 2 Zeuses, and you need to evolve both of them into one form and then the other. And then finally, you need loving heavenly deities Zeus and Hera, which means you have to get Zeus and Hera from their dungeon, and then you have to get a Stratos and Olympius to mix them together into Zeus and Hera. So you're going to need 2 of these. You're going to need 1 of these, and then you're going to need this stuff as well, which is a ton of stuff and a lot of hard things to get. The last 3 things are not as hard to get. They're manageable. Even if you're not way great at the game or anything, they're still manageable to get. These first 2 things, however, even if you are good at the game, they're still going to be a pain to get. You're going to have a good team and have some good luck on your side, or at least a bunch of magic stones to get them. So this one is probably the strongest just leader and possibly the strongest overall dragon when it comes out. As of right now, when it's not out, I would say that Sun God Ra is the strongest leader, and then the dark one, I can't remember his name now, Tsukuyomi, I think, or Tsukuyomi, I can't remember how I said it. Anyway, that one's probably the strongest sub at the moment. If you just want to farm and do it efficiently, I would say that Shiva Dragon would be your best bet if you just want to get up levels. If you want to get if you just want to like farm easy dungeons or normal dungeons or even the hard dungeons, you can do it with Shiva Dragon pretty easily. Those are my thoughts on the dragons. I think that each of them is worth the amount of monster points that it takes and the amount of effort that it takes to evolve them, but at the same time, it can be kind of a pain just to look at these. See, you know, I'm gonna have to sell my whole bank to buy them, or you probably shouldn't do that. But you know, if I wanted to buy them, I'm gonna have to sell my whole bank to get them, or you know, it's gonna take me years to build up enough monster points just off of dungeons. So it can be somewhat disconcerting about that. However, I think that they are worth it. So if you just have throwaway monsters, you know, probably want to save up. If you're planning on getting something good, any of these dragons are really good. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have been having a good day, keep on having a good day. If you guys have been having a bad day, I hope this video made your day just a little bit better. I hope to see you guys next time. Till then, stay cool and bye.